right now, there are millions of highly educated, completely fluent professionals out there who are making the exact same English mistake.
Yeah, every single day.
Right. I mean, in their emails, on their Zoom calls, in high-stakes job interviews. And honestly, the craziest part, the smarter you are, the more likely your brain is actually, forcing you to make it.
It really is. It's an incredibly pervasive habit.
We are talking about phrases like, I am agree, or I am knowing the answer.
Yes. And the reason it's so hard to shake is that, well, it feels perfectly logical to the person who's saying it.
Right. It makes sense in their head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it usually translates seamlessly from their native language.
Yeah.
It uses the correct vocabulary, and yet structurally, it's just a complete trap in English.
It stands out.
It immediately stands out to a native ear, yeah.
It really reminds me of learning a new physical skill, like playing the guitar, right?
Okay.
At first, you consciously place every single finger. You're thinking about it, but eventually, muscle memory kicks in.
You just do it.
Right. You stop thinking, and your hands do it automatically. But if no one ever tells you that the chord you've been playing on autopilot for, years is actually out of tune.
You're just going to keep playing it that way forever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so if you're listening to this and realizing you play that out-of-tune chord, there is zero judgment here. None.
No, absolutely none. Discovering that a habit you thought was serving you well is actually a mistake can be, well, it can be a bit uncomfortable.
Totally.
But acting as a patient guide here, once we understand the underlying mechanics of English and how it fundamentally categorizes our human experience, these mistakes really do just naturally fall away.
Which brings us to our mission for this deep dive. Today, we are fixing this out-of-tune chord. We're going to explore our source material, mastering stative verbs and avoiding common English mistakes to figure out why your brain makes this logical leap.
Right.
And how English separates what we do from what we are, and most importantly, how you can sound instantly more natural.
I love that.
So, okay, let's unpack this. Why does English allow us to say, I am running, but completely rejects I am knowing?
Well, it really comes down to how the English language divides reality into two distinct buckets.
Okay, 2 buckets.
Yeah. So the first bucket contains what we call action verbs. And these are the ones most of us are completely comfortable with.
Because they're obvious.
Right. They describe things you actively perform. So, running, eating, working, talking.
Things that require energy. I mean, there is a clear starting point, an ongoing process, and an end point.
Yes, exactly. Your body or your mind is actively engaged in a process. And because it's an ongoing process, English allows you to use the continuous ing form.
Right. I am running.
Right. I am running. The action is happening right now in real time. But the second bucket is where the trouble really starts for a lot of learners.
The dreaded second bucket.
The stative verbs. So instead of describing an action, these describe a state of being.
A state of being.
Yeah. Things you have, feel, think, or sense.
So it's not something I'm actively doing. It's just, the way things are.
Exactly. And the golden rule here, the foundational rule of English grammar from our text, is that stative verbs never, and I mean never, take the continuous ing form with am, is, or are.
Wow. Okay. Never.
Never. They always default to the simple present tense.
I was trying to visualize this while reading the source material, and I kept thinking about the camera app on my smartphone.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so action verbs are like taking a video. You press record, and you capture the ongoing movement, right? Like you film the process of someone cooking dinner.
Right, because there's actual motion to capture over a span of time.
Exactly. But stative verbs aren't videos. They're like taking a screenshot.
I like that.
They capture a permanent, fixed state of being in a single moment. You can't take a video of someone knowing French.
Right, you either know it or you don't.
Exactly. The knowledge just exists as a static image. It's a screenshot.
That analogy perfectly illustrates the cognitive divide we're talking about here. You cannot capture the action of a state because there's simply no physical or mental movement to capture. It just exists.
It's just there.
Yeah. And linguists usually break these screenshots down into 4 main categories of human experience. The most common one involves our mental states. Our thoughts and opinions.
So words like know, believe, understand, agree.
Yes. In English, knowledge isn't treated as an activity you perform. It's a fundamental alteration of your state. Once you know something, you're just in a state of knowing.
Okay.
Therefore, applying the rule saying, I am knowing the answer, is grammatically impossible. You just say, I know the answer.
Which makes sense. But the same goes for understanding, right? Which is tricky because she's understanding the concept feels like it should be right. Understanding feels like a process to me. Like sometimes I have to really work to understand something.
And that's a very fair point.
Yeah.
But the working part is the process. You can say, I am studying, or I am trying to figure it out.
Oh, I see. Those are the videos.
Exactly. Those are videos. But
Yeah.
the actual moment of understanding, that is a sudden shift in state. The light bulb turns on.
Click, screenshot.
Right, click.
Yeah.
So it becomes a screenshot. She understands the concept.
Okay, I get that for abstract concepts like knowledge. But what about the second category, our feelings? Because if I'm, say, craving a cup of coffee right now, in this exact second, that feels like a very immediate, ongoing process.
Oh, that is the core frustration for so many learners.
It's so unfair.
It really is. We desperately want to emphasize that we feel something right now in this exact moment, so we naturally reach for that ing form. That's our standard right now tool in English.
Right.
But words like love, hate, want, and need describe emotions. And English categorizes emotions as states of being, not physical actions you perform.
So even if the feeling is super intense and temporary, the grammar basically forces it into a permanent sounding structure.
Yeah.
So it's I want a coffee, not I am wanting a coffee.
Correct. It's a bit of a paradox, right? You are feeling it now, but you must use the simple present. She hates Mondays, not she is hating Mondays.
Okay, so mental states and emotions are screenshots. If I can't action a thought or a feeling, what about my physical body?
What do you mean?
Like the third category, the senses. If my eyes are actively taking in the environment or my ears are picking up a sound, my body is physically doing something. Why isn't sensory input in action?
Well, it's all about passive reception versus active engagement.
Okay, explain that.
So in their basic form, verbs involving the senses, see, hear, smell, taste, are stative because the environment is acting upon you.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, you don't have to put energy into hearing a siren outside. The sound waves just hit your ears. It is a state of your environment.
So I hear a dog barking, or I smell coffee. The smell is just happening to me.
Exactly. If you want to make it a video, you have to change the verb to reflect active engagement.
Give me an example.
Well, you listen to this deep dive, which is an action. You're actively doing it. But you hear a loud noise, which is a state. You look at a painting action, but you see a bird fly by. State.
Wow, that distinction makes a ton of sense. And then the last big area of human experience that falls into this trap is possession, right? Things we own.
Right. Words like belong, own, have, contain. If you hold the title to a vehicle, that ownership is a static fact.
It's not an ongoing process.
Right. I have a car, not I am having a car. Or this book belongs to me, not this book is belonging to me.
Okay, but wait. English is rarely this clean and perfectly organized.
That's the understatement of the year.
Right. I mean, we use these words in 100 different ways every day. Are you telling me that a word like have is just forever locked in the screenshot bucket?
Not at all. English loves a good exception. And what's fascinating here is that, depending entirely on the context, some verbs can actually be both stative and active.
The rule breakers.
Yes, they operate like chameleons, changing their grammatical color based on the actual reality you're trying to describe.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's explore that, because this is where the real-world application gets kind of tricky for learners. Let's look at have, since we just mentioned it. We established that if it means ownership, it's a stative screenshot.
Yes, he has a dog. No ing allowed. But what if have doesn't mean ownership?
Okay.
What if it represents an experience or an activity? Suddenly it crosses over. It becomes an active verb, a video.
So if I say, we are having lunch right now.
Exactly. Eating lunch is a process. It takes time, energy, and motion. You can film it. Therefore, adding the ing is perfectly correct.
Or if you say, she's having a great time at the party.
Right. Experiencing the party is an active, ongoing event.
Okay, let me throw a real-world scenario at you to test this.
Bring it on.
Let's say I'm at the office and my head is absolutely pounding. The pain is intense and it is happening right now.
Okay.
Since I'm actively experiencing this pain in real time, could I say I am having a headache?
See, that is a totally logical deduction based on the experience rule we just discussed. But, and I say this patiently, standard English grammar forces you to step back and look at how the language views ailments. A headache is treated as something you possess.
Wait, really?
Yeah. You own the ache, much like you own a car.
Grammatically speaking, so even though it's an active, miserable experience of pain, the language sees it as a temporary possession.
It does. It falls firmly back into the stative category. You must say, I have a headache.
That is wild.
So when you're trying to decide in the moment, here's the ultimate test. Ask yourself, is this a fundamental state of being, or is it a physical, temporary action taking place? And honestly, when in doubt, defaulting to the simple present is always your safest bet.
Good tip. What about a chameleon verb like think? Because I use that to give an opinion, but I also use it to describe the actual gears turning in my head.
And the grammar shifts for each scenario. When think represents your stance or your opinion, it's a state. I think you're right.
That's my fixed position on the matter.
Exactly. But when think refers to the mental labor like your brain actively churning over a problem, it becomes a video.
So please be quiet, I am thinking.
Exactly. Or, I'm thinking about my holiday. You are actively generating thoughts over a period of time.
It's fascinating how the context is king here. The meaning completely dictates the grammar. We see this with sensory words too, don't we? Like see.
Oh, see is a classic chameleon. As a sensory input, it's stative. I see a bird. You aren't actively doing anything. The light is just hitting your eyes. But what if see means you have an appointment?
Like, I am seeing a doctor tomorrow.
Right, and what if it means an ongoing romantic relationship?
Oh, I'm seeing someone.
Yes, you are actively dating them. It's a completely different meaning, requiring entirely different grammar. You just have to understand what the verb is actually doing in the sentence.
Okay, now that we have a solid grasp on this division between states and actions, and we know how to spot these chameleons in the wild, I want to zoom in on the final boss of stative verb mistakes.
Oh, here we go.
The absolute worst offender in the English language. The single most common error that millions of learners fall into every day.
The infamous I am agree.
Yes, I am agree. It is literally everywhere. You see it in high-stakes emails. You hear it in boardroom meetings. Why do so many incredibly smart learners naturally gravitate towards saying, I am agree?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's because of a structural collision between English and almost every other language.
Okay.
If you look at Spanish, French, or so many other native languages around the world, the phrase used to express agreement literally translates back to English as I am in agreement, or I am of the same mind.
So the learner's brain is making a brilliant logical connection. They know the phrase I am represents their state of being, and they just want to merge the concept of agree right into that state.
Exactly. But here's the disconnect. In English, agree is already a verb.
Right.
It's the engine of the sentence itself. It is not an adjective. You can put am before an adjective like I am happy or I am tired.
Or before an ongoing action like I am running.
Yes, but you can never ever put the am verb in front of another base verb. You cannot say I am agree any more than you can say I am run.
Because agree is a complete thought all on its own.
The fix is incredibly simple. Just drop the am. 2 words. I agree.
But let's look at the reality of a normal conversation. If I'm in a 30-minute meeting and I just keep nodding and saying, I agree, I agree, I agree, I'm going to sound like a robot.
You really are.
We need to expand our conversational toolkit so that learners don't feel the urge to dress up the phrase with incorrect grammar just to add some variety.
Having alternatives is crucial. Let's walk through some real-life applications. Let's imagine a casual scenario first. You're grabbing coffee with a coworker, and they suggest a brilliant idea for a project.
Right, and I don't want to sound stiff. I want to show enthusiasm.
Well, casual agreement thrives on strong, single words or short phrases. Instead of constructing a full sentence, lean on words like exactly or totally or absolutely.
Love those.
If you want a full phrase, I couldn't agree more, is incredibly natural.
I couldn't agree more. That really carries a lot of energy. But what if we shift the context? You are writing a formal email to a client, or you're speaking to executive leadership. Totally. Might seem a bit too relaxed.
Yeah, in a professional environment, you want to project thoughtful consideration. The standard, I agree with your point, is solid.
But to elevate it,
You can say, that's a valid perspective. Or, one that works beautifully in formal emails, I share your view.
I share your view. Oh, I like that. That establishes a nice sense of partnership. Now, what about the trickiest scenario of all? You're in a meeting, someone makes a point, and you only agree with half of it.
Partial agreement.
Yeah, you need to validate them, but also push back a little.
This is advanced territory, but essential for professional communication. You want to acknowledge their state before introducing your own. I agree to some extent, but... Or, make a good point, Aaron. But my personal recommendation for navigating this politely is, I see where you're coming from, though, I'd say,
That's a great tool. I see where you're coming from. It completely bypasses the agree verb altogether, removing any risk of the I am agree mistake.
Exactly. You give yourself safe, natural-sounding options.
So what does this all mean for your everyday conversations? Let's look at the forgivable 5, the top 5 most common mistakes from the source. Let's rapid fire fix these.
Let's do it.
And remember, making these makes you normal, not a bad learner.
Right.
Number 1, I am knowing.
Screenshot it. I know.
Number 2, she is understanding now.
Click. She understands now.
Number 3, I am wanting to go. We touched on this earlier.
It's that desire for immediacy, but it's a state. I want to go.
Okay, number 4, belief. He is believing you.
Belief is a deep-seated state of mind. It isn't a temporary action. It must remain in the simple present. He believes you.
Awesome. And finally, number 5, I have to challenge this whole system with the ultimate exception. We've established that love is an emotion and therefore a state. We take a screenshot. I love this.
Yes, that is standard English.
But hold on. Doesn't the biggest fast food chain on the planet, McDonald's, literally use I'm loving it as a massive global slogan? They take a stative verb, force it into the continuous ing form, and broadcast it to billions of people. Do native speakers actually say this?
They absolutely do.
Wait, really?
Yeah. The McDonald's slogan highlights a fascinating aspect of how native speakers manipulate language. By taking a stative verb like love and forcing it into the active video bucket, they are intentionally breaking the rules of standard English to create a specific psychological effect.
What's the effect? Why break the rule?
It makes the feeling seem immediate, active, and overwhelming. If I say I love burgers, well, that's just a static fact about my personality.
Right.
But if I'm actively eating a burger right now and I say I'm loving it, I have transformed the emotion into an active process that I am participating in at this exact second. It adds enthusiasm.
So they are taking a screenshot and forcing it to play like a video just to grab your attention.
Precisely. But, and here's the critical distinction for anyone navigating the language, it is highly informal. It is colloquial slang.
Okay, so use with caution.
Very much so. If you are taking an English proficiency exam, writing a cover letter, or speaking in a formal business setting, standard English applies. Love is a state. I love this project, save I'm loving this, for when you are enthusiastically eating a meal with friends.
Got it. It bridges that gap between rigid textbook rules and how language actually lives on the street.
Exactly.
So to pull all of this together and solidify this new muscle memory we're building, the core takeaway for you listening is recognizing the difference between a state and an action.
A screenshot versus a video.
Right. Stative verbs describe your thoughts, your feelings, your sensory input, and your possessions. They describe the way things are, not what is actively happening. And because of that, they reject the ing form.
And we must pay attention to context. Our chameleon verbs, like have, think, and see, require us to pause and ask, is this a permanent state of being or a temporary physical experience, having a car versus having lunch?
And above all else, we need to permanently sever the connection between am and agree. Agree is a verb. It stands on its own. We just say, I agree, or we pivot to stronger conversational phrases like, exactly, I share your view, or I couldn't agree more.
This raises an important question, though. When you look at all of these rules together, it really forces you to think about how English categorizes human existence.
How so?
Well, we spend so much time focusing on our actions, but English grammar demands that we separate what we do from who we are.
Oh, wow. It treats our opinions and our knowledge not as fleeting activities, but as like foundational pillars of our identity.
Yes. You don't perform the act of knowing, you simply know. You don't perform an agreement, you exist in a state of agreement. It makes you wonder how the grammatical structures of our native languages shape the very lens through which we view reality. Do we see ourselves primarily as a collection of actions or as a collection of permanent states?
That is a profound thought to chew on. Language is never just a list of rules to memorize. It's the architecture of how we process the world around us.
It really is.
So the next time you find yourself drafting an email or stepping into a meeting, pay attention to that muscle memory. If you feel your brain reaching for I am agree or trying to force a state into an action, just pause. Recognize that out-of-tune chord, smile, and play the right one. Practice it until the correct structure feels completely natural. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep practicing, and we will catch you next time.